Hello folks! Do you remember the mock-up pine trees that I made for my mountain road diorama? Well, now it's time to put them away. Grab some tools and supplies and make some proper ones. So, here you have a complete, very simple and quick step-by-step tutorial on how to make one or more of those. Don't be scared. It will be easy, I promise. First, I took some wooden sticks. Those ones are leftovers from raznici, a traditional Balkan dish. Anyway, they were about 4 mm in diameter. They were cut to length, according to the mock-up ones. You can also use Chinese sticks, but I don't recommend balsa because it's too soft. Then I gave them some shape. The trunk should go from thick to thin, from the bottom to the top. And you should also make some irregular shapes. The trunks were sanded and shaped with a rough sanding stick. I drilled a hole on the bottom and inserted a nail without a head. I secured the nail with CA glue. Then I gave some texture to the trunk with a fine saw. Totally pointless. You should skip this. I sealed the surface with extra thin CA. Pointless too. You should go directly to the next step. This one is important. Now we will add some volume and rough texture to the trunk. Here I used semolina flour. Just cover the entire trunk with PVA straight from the bottle and sprinkle some stuff on. I didn't do it, but you can increase the thickness with this step. For example, you repeat the step only on the lower half of the trunk. Just be sure to make a nice transition. And after an hour of drying, it was really time for some extra thin. This way you make the surface rock solid. I sanded a little bit of the surface and tried to do some texture with a piece of metal saw blade. But next time I should do the saw treatment before the CA sealing. For the primary and main branches, I use this 0.6 mm brass wire. The wire should be as thin as possible but strong. You can use florist wire, which is covered in green plastic. My tree guru friend Ravko said that the florist wire takes the glue better. Anyway, I took a 0.7 mm drill bit and a rotary tool. You should make a hole through the trunk every, let's say, 5 to 7 mm. Always turning it slightly in an irregular way. Here you can see the holes. Remember, be careful not to fall into patterns. Our brains love patterns, but they don't look natural. Next, I roughly measured the length of the wire. I helped myself with those squares on the cutting mat to cut several pieces of the same length. Then I made some shorter sets. If the wire is straight, you will have an easier job in the next step. I inserted the wires into the holes a little bit. Then I eyeballed the middle and put a drop of medium CA there. The wire is then pushed into its place. If you like what I'm doing, I will invite you to like and subscribe to this channel. It helped me a lot. The process is slow, but it's not rocket science. Put on some music or a podcast and enjoy. It's now time to twist all the wires to form, let's say, a fishbone tree. If a wire is moving, just fix it with CA. This step has two purposes. The first one is that now you can easily shape the tree with cutters. Be careful. For now, it's better to leave the branches longer than to cut them too short. And the second one will be shown here. We will make the final bark texture. I applied a mix of PVA and water, 1:1, all over the trunk and the branches. You can put the tree against the ground and work easily. You should try to use the glue straight from the bottle, maybe it will be better. Then, very fine sorted gravel was sprinkled to make the texture. You can use sieved dirt or whatever comes to your mind, but it must be much finer than the semolina flour. You can make adjustments wet on wet. You must cover the entire thing as much as you can. It's time to shape the branches after they have dried for a few hours. Here I made some short pieces to simulate the remains of the branches that have fallen down. Put the wires into position and bend them downwards. Time for some paint. I airbrushed the entire thing with Vallejo black brown. Even those Vallejo model colors can be airbrushed. All you need is a lot of thinner. I used the acrylic one from Amo by Mig, a higher pressure, 1.5 bar, and a cheap airbrush with a 0.5 mm nozzle, such as this €25 Fengda. I'm not going to put those colors in my trusty HNS Evolution, that's for sure. I will take some time now to say thank you to my amazing Patreons. So, thank you Alpenhauler and Jack McKee. I will call everyone by name until we get to 10, okay? Hopefully soon. If you like my way of doing things, you should check out my Patreon page. It is an interactive diorama tutorial community. You get exclusive content, you can ask questions, etc. I will basically become your personal tutor for diorama stuff. Not bad, huh? Now, let's move on. Here you can see the progress so far. Not bad, huh? Now, let's move towards the more hairy stuff. For secondary branches, I use this 12 mm grass flock. This stuff is awesome for all kinds of tasks, so I totally recommend it. So let's make some PVA and water mix in a 2:1 ratio. Here, this mix was just fine. Apply the glue on the branches, but stop before the trunk. I was working from the bottom up, and I was doing 4 branches at one time. Then, sprinkle the grass on the glue. Grab some grass and try to move your fingers so that separate pieces are falling down. Take your time and don't rush it. When some grass accumulates on the floor, put it together and do this again and again. Don't exaggerate this step. What you see here is too much. We need a kind of scenic glue for the next steps. I made one from generic acrylic wood varnish and water. Again, 1:1. You can apply this stuff with a brush or like a spray with this cosmetic bottle. I sprayed the entire tree in order to fix everything. Now you can apply some more long grass if you want a super dense tree. But we made a great trunk and it should be visible at the end. When it's dry, it's time to get rid of the excess. Just take a shitty stiff brush and go over the entire tree. You can see the amount of fallen grass on the floor. Don't worry, it's okay. Airbrush time again. This time I use Tamiya Buff. Try to cover the grass and give the trunk a light coat too. This will bring out the bark texture. I made a wash of the trunk color, the Vallejo black brown. You should cover the primary branches that have too much buff on them. You should also use it on the trunk to give it some depth. Try to hit the spots where the branches exit the trunk. And now we are ready for some green stuff. We will start with 5 to 6 mm static grass. The color doesn't matter much. The important thing is this very cheap but specific brush. And we will use wood varnish and water as glue from now on. As you see, I'm barely touching the previous step with the brush. You can start with 4 branches for now. Put some grass on the plate, take it from there and sprinkle it. Because you are not touching the trunk with glue, there is no need to be careful with the application. Turn the tree around or whatever you want. Here you can see the difference. Don't exaggerate the applications. We still have many steps to do. 3 to 4 mm grass was next. The colors are not important at this moment, but if you can, choose different shades of green, sand and brown. This one was very harsh and it was not flowing between the fingers, so I decided that I would apply it with a sieve. Again, the difference with the previous step. 2 to 3 mm grass. Here you can see that the brush is now working on 2 branches at a time. You can put the glue on in no time. And I also have the name of the brush now. It's the fan brush. Thank you, Ravko. The last hairy step was done with 1 to 2 mm grass. The sieve works so well that I will advise you to use it for every step. And you can see that now we are getting somewhere. And again, the comparison is here. We are nearly at the end. The cherry on the cake will be this fine turf. I don't know why exactly, but you will see it by yourself. For this one, we will apply the glue with the spray method. A friendly advice: cover your workspace before spraying the glue, or better yet, do it outside. Cover the tree with the mist until very small droplets start to form. Don't worry, they will disappear when dry. The turf was so fine that I applied it with my fingers, very slowly and lightly. Before the final sealing, I had to repair the tops. I destroyed them by picking up the trees by that spot. I should make those balsa handles at the beginning. Anyway, the repair process was all the steps, but it was a quick fix. Again, I sprayed the entire tree with the varnish and water mixture. This will hopefully glue all the components together. I let them dry for an hour or 2. Time to finish those suckers. I took some Tamiya Natto green and applied it to all the branches. This step has 2 purposes. It kills the shiny glittering of the static grass and it gives the tree a more realistic green color. Apply it lightly and be careful. You must unify the overall color of the tree, but the different shades of the static grass should still be somehow visible. Here is the last comparison for today. And here it is, our hairy green creation. I must say that I was blown away by the result. And it's actually a very easy process. And what's better than making one pine tree? Making 5 of them. Jokes aside, there are a lot of steps, which means a lot of preparation, but the amount of preparation is exactly the same regardless the number of the trees, so it's better to build more of them. I will need 3 of them on my diorama. The other 2 will go into storage, so I will have them ready for my next project. If you have further questions, don't hesitate to write them down in the comments. And until next week, have a nice, hairy and green day. Bye.